Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Saaxiib Talks. With me today it's Kafia.
Hi!
Thank you so much for joining
Thank you for
us.
having me.
Today we're going to be discussing 9 to 5 versus freelancing. And so you've done both, and I wanted to kind of just talk a little bit more about your experience and why you chose to go into the freelancing route, and then just kind of like start there.
I don't know why I did it. I actually started out a 9 to 5. I started out part-time after I did a year of service with AmeriCorps. I knew I wanted to get back to New York, and at the time I couldn't find a full-time job. So I took a part-time job and was like, you know what, where there's a will, there's a way, and I'm gonna be fine.
Yeah.
And luckily that part-time turned into a full-time job. And I was there for a couple of years and I loved it. I loved the job. It was originally a Diamond Empowerment Fund, and we got to travel. I got to do fundraisers in Hong Kong, fundraisers in London, and then my boss left. So when she left, I was like, you know what, maybe it's time for me to change things up. And the new team that came in, they had a vision that was slightly different than what I saw. And after a couple months during the transition period, I was like, you know what, maybe it's time to go back to grad school. Maybe it's a sign. So I applied to grad school and I went to grad school from there.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was an initial choice to be a freelancer, but it kind of just worked out after that point.
So how did you transition from 9 to 5 to freelancing? Because I feel like one of the things that freaks me out the most when I think about freelancing is the loss of security, right? And
it freaks me out too.
Because I feel like you're so, to me, obviously, I used to live in New York, and rent is expensive in New York. And so to think that each time you've got to secure your own job, it's a real hustle. And I truly admire people who are freelancers, because I know it's not easy. Right. But I personally like the security of a 9 to 5.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too. I like security, period. But I was really lucky. I am really lucky and fortunate, alhamdulillah, because the people I work with pay me.
Yeah.
I don't have to hunt them down. I don't have to chase them. I submit my invoice and I get paid.
Yeah.
The trick though is figuring out tempo when you're not consistently working.
Right.
So making sure that you have a savings in place to hold you down during the slower months. And for me in entertainment, in the events world, it tends to be slow initially towards the end of the year because everybody goes on holiday.
Yeah.
And then there's a weird break around March where it could be a little slow. So I just have to always make sure that, I'm forecasting, I'm planning ahead, which a lot of people underestimate. A lot of people think that it's just like, oh, you're freelance, you get to travel and do all these fun things.
Yeah.
But it actually requires a bit of planning. You have to actually sit down and think through, like, okay, well, I can anticipate these events coming in or this annual event. And if that's not happening, how else am I going to bring in income? So you learn to kind of adapt to the situation and environment. Yeah.
And I think you also mentioned that sometimes certain events have a certain payment structure.
Yeah. So
that not a lot of people know about.
Yeah. So I'm really lucky, alhamdulillah, to have clients that adhere to the payment terms I set forth. But there are clients who will bring people on and are like, you know what? Thanks for coming on board. We operate on a net 60. Net 60 means 60 days to turn over that check. So imagine you do work on day one, they don't have to issue you a check till 60 days after.
Yeah.
So for me, I try to...
Which can kind of complicate things a
little bit. It does. So, unless it's like a dream job, I try to steer away from anybody whose payment terms are really stringent and don't meet my needs.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, counterintuitive to people. They're like, oh, you kind of are beholden to a check or this. I'm like, actually, no, you're not. If something is not aligned with you and your terms and your beliefs, then adjust yourself and claim the things that are, and then it'll come in.
Yeah.
Which alhamdulillah, again, it's been working out for me.
Yeah. So, are there certain things about the 9 to 5 that you miss?
Yeah, it's gonna sound weird, but I like going into offices. I like going into, work and getting your coffee in the morning and chatting with your office mate. I don't have that. So there's many days where I work from home, and I love my home, but it can be boring sometimes.
Yeah.
Don't have that human
I've tried working from home, and it can be lonely.
Yes. So I envy my friends who, work at these really cool jobs and they have all these amenities. They have, gyms.
Yeah.
They have free lunches. I'm like, oh my God, I would love that. But at the same time, I know that there's probably downsides to whatever their job entails. So I'm like, Kafia, it's fine. Just join a little networking group or something.
Yeah.
Find it.
Well, and that brings us on to the whole concept of networking, because essentially you're working for yourself.
Yeah.
Right? And so how does networking play a part in terms of you securing gigs?
So networking to me, initially I was like, oh, I don't like it. It's not my thing. But now, fast forward, this is 10 years ago. Yeah. I'm not aging myself. I fast forward, I'm like, oh God, I gotta chat with people. I gotta talk. I gotta find people that make sense for where I'm heading. Yeah. So I try to make networking more about connecting and connecting with people on purpose. So if there's somebody that is also in the event space and has a great vibe and energy, I try to connect with them. If there's someone that is in a completely different field with me, but they have good energy, I'm like, all right, let's connect. Maybe you never know how those things will pan out, because I know for myself, in my experience, when I started out, I had a very strict vision of what I was going to be doing, and nothing went according to plan. So now where I am is I try to connect with people that either align with my beliefs or my work ethic or my vision, and then I kind of leave the rest up to Allah, and it works out. Like, I don't really have a strong structure, because I find that it'll
got to be a bit fluid and flexible.
Yeah, you just find people that got good energy, good vibes. They work, they hustle, they get what you're trying to do. Yeah. And the rest works itself out. Yeah.
Do you find that because you are freelancing, it's your sort of, like, if you don't go out there and promote your business or promote your talent, that it doesn't come your way? So like, what kind of tools have you used?
That's a hard thing for me, actually. A lot of people, I think this is the first year where I've actually openly said what I do, and I talk about what I do.
Yes, yeah. I've known you for a couple of years, guys.
Yeah.
And nobody knew what you did for a very long time.
Because, in the entertainment space, it can be tricky, navigating the waters and figuring out who's trying to genuinely connect with you. Yeah. And for me, I was like, I want no parts in shadiness. So I was very much hush-hush, like, I just do events. I never said what kind of events, what industry.
Yeah, because you've worked with some prominent individuals.
I've worked on really fun stuff. I've worked on the Grammys. I've worked on fundraisers in Hong Kong. I've done, music festivals. I did album releases. So for me, I feel like when you tell people that, they're like, God, like I want to be around you. Right. And for me, I'm very much like, but are we aligned?
Yeah.
Is the energy right?
Yes. Can we snap for that?
I'm thinking about that. So when it comes to promoting myself, I'm learning now, a little late, but you can still be picky. You can still promote yourself. There's a humble way to do it. There's a gracious way to do it. And that's my biggest thing. Just focus on being humble, gracious, kind as I talk to people about what I do. Yes. And instead of coming from a place of arrogance and cockiness, just be really humble and grounded. And I, again, have found that is working really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what advice would you share for those who are in the 9-to-5 space but want to sort of do their own thing and transition into this freelance world?
Ooh. Don't do it my way. Do it a little bit more planned out and methodical than I did. I kind of was thrusted into it, but I, looking back, wish that, I focused on whatever passions I had in addition to a 9-to-5. Right. So that I have the security to save, stack money, to invest in those passions. Right. So if it, for me, it's
and it makes it easier transition.
Exactly. Yeah. That I have a bit of cushion that I've built up, that I've networked during that period, that I've built a portfolio during that period, versus kind of like quitting my job and then starting. It's like, no, maybe I should have started simultaneously. Yeah. That's like one of my big ones. I wish that, at 23, I would have started investing in myself the way that I am now. Yeah. So,
and have you found yourself to be in any tough situations as a freelancer? What's like the most difficult thing you've dealt with so far?
There's a few. I think the biggest one is saying no to work. Oh, I think a lot of people feel that as a freelancer, you're going to take anything and everything thrown your way. And especially if you are in those slow periods, you need the money. I've actually turned down and walked away from contracts because, my rate is my rate. Yes. And I don't feel that I should compromise on that unless it's like, you know, an extreme situation or a really great client and they've been paying me my rate for, you know, 10 times, but they asked me to cut a favor on the 11th. Then you find a way to be flexible. But if out the gate you're asking me to significantly
reduce it,
then for me, I'm like, you know what? We're not aligned. So I'm gonna pass.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I think it's a thing that people forget is to remember your worth. Like know your worth and don't settle.
Yeah.
And be unapologetic about it.
Yeah, I think that's definitely like one of the biggest things that I think we can all take away from this.
Yeah.
And so moving on to your next chapter.
Who knows?
Kafia goes to Hollywood.
Let everybody tune into that.
You recently started a Netflix show called Styling Hollywood. How did that come about?
That has been a journey. I was working at the time with Jason Bolden and Adair Curtis, and they had an opportunity to do a show, and as a supportive friend, I was like, yeah, I'll do it. You know, not really fully grasping what I was getting myself into. Yeah. And then, you know, fast forward, we're filming, and it's happening, and it's coming to life, and it was one of those things where I'm like, well, you said yes, so your word is your bond, and you better do it. Yeah. It's been a journey. It's been a roller coaster. A lot of fun. Yeah,
and so how has sort of your newfound fame been received?
It's been,
especially in the Somali community.
First of all, I love the Somali community. I love us. Yeah. It's been amazing to see so many Somalis come out and say like, I see you, sis, we support you. Even putting the Somali flag, I'm like, yes! Yeah. Because for me, going into it, I'm a very behind the scenes person. Yeah. Never really been in front of a camera. Anybody who knows me knows that I'm really goofy. I'm not really, you know, a serious person on a camera. But when I did approach this, I was like, you know what, I want to show the world that Somalis have depth. We're more than just what the media portrays us as a struggling nation, famine, disease, whatever they say about Somalia. I was like, you know, actually there's more to us than that. Yeah. So I made sure that I represented. I said I was Somali. I proudly said it. You know, I was born in the States, but I still consider myself Somali. Like I was born there. Yes. You know, my mom was like, girl, you were born in Virginia. Yeah. But yeah, I wanted people to see a version of themselves because it's not often we get to see a Somali on TV working and being professional and doing something counter.
In a different capacity other than
being a doctor, a lawyer,
models.
Even for me, I'm so used to us being lawyers, doctors, and government professionals. I'm like, I want Somalis to know that you can be creative too. You can be out there outside of our normal fields, models included, but y'all still beautiful. I love y'all. It's something that I felt was lacking. Yes. And for the longest, all we really were seeing were even males. Like you had the Captain Phillips movie, and you just saw the pirates. I'm like, oh God, okay, that's great. Yeah, shout out to our people, but there's more to them even. Yeah. So hopefully this is a stepping stone for more Somalis to either get in front of a camera or be behind a camera, direct produce, just to show the variety we come in. Yeah. So you hit a couple of topics that hit home for many people, many Somalis, that included things like sending money back home, family. How was that? I feel like Somalis and first generation people got it. Like, or children of immigrants, kids of immigrants. They understood off top what I meant by like, we got more than the average responsibility. Right. That we don't just go to work, pay our bills, and be happy and married. We go to work, pay our bills, send money back home, pay for a taxi, we're doing so many more things than we broadcast. I felt that it was important that people understood our experience is very different. It's not standard. Yeah. And the pressure is placed upon us. We're not only navigating how to be a Somali in America or a Somali in the UK or a Somali wherever, you're navigating a Somali being in America plus being a Somali in the Somali world. Yes. And then on top of that, balancing your obligations to yourself, so your bills, your finances, and then your obligations to your family, and then your obligations to your culture and community. Yes. So it's very layered, and our community understood it, and I'm happy, thank God, alhamdulillah, but the non-Somalis or non-first generation people were very taken aback by that sense of me. Of, this girl's on here, complaining about work and her responsibilities. I was like, you know what, wow, I think
and for most people, it's not a choice, it's not something that they can easily say, well, I'm not going to pay this person. A lot of people back home especially depend on that.
The remittances are what sustain people back home.
Right.
So for me to see that somewhat of a backlash, I thought like, wow, there really should be a larger conversation about what we're doing to invest in our own communities, right? A lot of people think about it in terms of in America, we're investing political capital, we're donating to nonprofits, and that's the stake of what we need to do. But for me, it's that, and then also I need to support my Somali community. It's a big thing for me. I pride myself on maintaining that I can still support my people, because when I look back, my mom and dad, shout out to mom and dad, they did a lot for me. And they immigrated here to make sure we had a better life. And I just feel like, now that I'm in a good position, why wouldn't I take care of them?
Yes.
I think it begs the question, when you can do better for others, why don't you?
Yeah.
And so it's interesting seeing the different sides of the spectrum.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'm glad that you sort of like touched on it, because it is a thing that affects a lot of people, and I think that you sort of highlighted the realness.
Yeah. It's a thing.
Part. Yeah. No, that's awesome. So I really want to appreciate you. Thank you so much for sitting
Thank you
down
for having me. This is my first interview. It's been amazing.
Yes. So what's next?
Oh, a break. I mean, well, I'm on break, right? I'm on vacation, but I go back to work. I go have back-to-back events when I get back to the US. I'm working on launching Storytime. A lot of people keep asking me about it. Just go to storytimenyc.com. I put up a little blurb. It's coming soon. Some of the fun projects I get to work on, events I get to do, will be featured on there, along with some merch and just a few other meetups that I might do down the line. And then outside of that, I am working on Real Friends. Real Friends is an initiative started by Will Rodriguez, who is also a good friend, and it focuses on leveraging our own networks to help philanthropic endeavors, whether it's fundraising or organizing auctions, just again giving back to the community, and finding how we do that. So yeah.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Look forward to seeing you.
Thank you.
If you haven't seen Styling Hollywood, make sure you guys check it out. It's out on Netflix now.
And let me know when you do.
Do you want to share your socials with everyone? So
It's Call Me Kafia on Instagram. That's all I have.
You'll see her on our page.
Call Me Kafia on Instagram, and obviously on their page.
Yay! Thank you so much.
Thank you. Oh, this is so nice.